Hello and welcome back for another edition of the Multicultural AFL Football Show. Tonight we review round number 4, What a Round of Footy It Has Been. I am Vanessa Gatica and I'm joined by my two co-panelists, Javier Sincan and Gabriel D'Angelo. Hello guys.
Hello Vanessa.
Vanessa, Javier.
Round number 4 and the results were really out of the ordinary. The umpires are still missing free kicks and continue to frustrate the footy world with the inconsistent decisions, some upsets and 7 tight games that could have gone either way. Starting with last Thursday night with the game from the SCG where Melbourne won over the Swans. Gabriel, what are your thoughts?
Well, it was a huge surprise to me. I thought Sydney were going to win that game, but they've been just so weird. they win away, but they lose badly at home. I don't know how that happens or why that is, and I don't know what remedy they can find to fix it, but I mean, they just keep losing at home, and Melbourne, much to their credit, I mean, they have some of their key players away, playing away, in Sydney, against Sydney. It's a tough prospect, and they did an amazing job, so congratulations to them, but I really did thought that Sydney were going to win that one. I mean, there's no excuses from the umpire's point of view in that particular game and a few others. That was all Sydney's fault. They should have done better. And on another note, the Collingwood and Western Bulldogs game, it was as even as we thought it was going to be. I mean, we all thought it was going to be a close one. I think that the Bulldogs, they're going to be disappointed with their performance because a lot of their errors were just unforced errors. Caleb Daniel gives away a lot of free kicks, and a few other players. If they iron out those things, they would have a much better season, I think. I think the Bulldogs doing those sorts of errors against Collingwood, against Geelong, all this sort of teams, they will be punished pretty badly. And Essendon versus Brisbane, I mean, McDonald Tipping Wooding, what a game. I mean, the week before, everybody was saying that he should be dropped to the reserves to get his form back, and he's responded with 7 goals. I mean, he had an amazing job, and well, the Brisbane Lions are going to be extremely disappointed with the way they played. I mean, I thought they were going to win that game, and the way they lost that game, they are going to be extremely embarrassed. But yeah, some amazing performances, definitely.
Yeah, I believe it was a tipping nightmare this round. It was as you said, it was so many close games, and Melbourne, I don't know, we were discussing there last week that they're going to need to find some avenues where they're going to score goals. And look at that, everyone sort of scored goal in their team. And plus, Clayton Oliver and Salem, they sort of did that disposal sort of job where they were able to get the ball around. But Nathan Jones, he played like a captain and took the game away from Sydney. And Sydney, I don't know. They need to change their home ground. Or maybe they say that SCG is like their travel game or so. Otherwise, I don't see them winning at SCG. Melbourne coming down there, down in confidence and everything, and they just gave them a big chance.
Yeah.
And I believe with the Bulldogs, they did everything right, but Nathan Buckley did something pretty good in the last quarter, which was to put Jordan De Goey in the midfielder side. I think they've been changing around their because there were too many midfielders, and they need to find that portion where they want to play, how much time they want to play them forward and how much time in the midfield. And in the fourth quarter, he came in and sort of changed the ball around and everything. And then Brodie Grundy, Tim English had no answer to him, and that became evident. Having said that, Tim English did play, other than the hitouts, he played very well though. So it's a bit of a headache for Beveridge that what he wants to do with Tim English. So the other game, Essendon, Brisbane. Look, Essendon are showing that they are back. That's probably what it is. They were tipped to be a good team this year. I think that's finally they're getting into it. The reason I say that they play more as a team. You see where Stringer gives a pass where he could have scored on a normal day, but he gives a pass and makes sure that his team comes forward. So that kind of mentality, if it creeps into you, and then you just want to win the game, that's pretty good. And then all their woes are sort of answered with Hulley and Kill Hooker at the back. They're doing good job at the back. Tyson Heppel, we saw last game as well. He played like a captain, and everything in the midfield is sort of sorted. And now their forward woes, like you probably wonder where the goals will come. And Tip and Woody had all the answers. Yeah. And so I believe Essendon are probably on the way back. So it's pretty good.
Your comments were certainly very interesting, guys. Just one question. Did you notice that the umpires also missed a lot of throw in the ball and incorrect disposals? Incidents generally during the last 2 minutes of the play? Briefly, guys.
Yeah, I believe umpires lacking the consistency again. We saw that decision against Hawks when they were playing Bulldogs. That sort of contributed to Hawks' downfall as well. And then in the last game, if someone has seen it, that there was the same umpire, and there was when it was the other team, he gave the decision that it was a free kick, but on the same note where he was like around 5 meters away again. Then he gave the same decision on the other hand side to have a ball up. So these inconsistencies are really hitting hard at the moment. There was an incident with Sam Pepper where he sort of hit the other player, and there was no free kick given us. So really, everyone wants to know in the football, like what's going on, like where is that consistency and what is it actual rule. I don't know whether, as we discussed last time as well, that they need to get some sort of video footage thing, where especially with the penalties, like 50 meters penalties. And the worst one was this time where they made a 50-meter penalty to a 60-meter penalty. Where the games are getting decided by like 1 or 2 points, it makes a huge difference, even if it's 1 more meter. Yeah. So umpires really need to get on board with that. And I believe probably they're feeling the pressure in the last 2 minutes or so. That's where it is. But there needs to come up with some sort of solution with that.
Well, the umpires are going to miss a lot of things. They always will. I mean, we talked about this last week. We were talking about the umpires last week, and it's going to continue, unfortunately, where we're going to keep mentioning about the umpires. But I'll just briefly say what I think, because you pretty much said everything, really, because a lot of that inconsistency about the umpires is definitely something that's killing the game. The great thing about the grand final is that the umpires are hardly involved. You hardly notice them because they just let the game flow. Every time the umpires try to be a part of the game, they try to be involved, they just kill the game. They kill the atmosphere, they kill the fun out of it. They just need to step out of it. But the less involvement they have, the better. But who knows what's going to happen.
Completely agree with you, Gabriel.
Thank you.
You're watching the Multicultural AFL Football Show, and we will be back with more after the short break. Welcome back with the Easter Upon Us. We are in front of the AFL bumper treat with 5 consecutive days on footy starting tonight, a couple of games on Good Friday, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday. First up, Lions and Pies tonight from the Gabba.
Well, I think that the Lions, they're going to be embarrassed about their performance last week, and so they should, because we're now expecting them to do better now. I mean, last year it's okay, but now we're sort of expecting much greater things from them. But I'll just keep it brief. I think that the Lions should win. I think that the Lions will be one of those few teams like GWS and West Coast where every game at home they're going to either win or they might miss maybe 1 or 2, but they're going to win the majority of the games at home. I think they're going to make it into a little fortress like they used to back in the day. I think that Collingwood, they're a fantastic team. They're very, very good, but travelling, I'm not too sure. So I'm going to tip Brisbane Lions for this one.
Yeah, well, I agree. I believe although Collingwood won their last game, but they really need to find their rhythm. And with Brisbane, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to unsettle the rhythm for them. And at home, I believe Brisbane Lions would be a bit stronger than Collingwood. And I'm going to go for Brisbane for this.
Good Friday, North Melbourne, the Kangaroos and Bombers for Marvel Stadium. And the West Coast take on Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium. No rest for the Wicked Boys.
Yeah, it's going to be a very close games, both of them, I believe. Because North Melbourne, they sort of find their rhythm. Although there was some contentious sort of kicks that In fact, there was one basically when there was Ben Brown was in the ruck, that free kick was given. I think they need to come up with something better, not Melbourne. Reason being, they should be able to pounce on all the good midfield they have and all the good forwards they have. Ben Brown, he was among the top last year, so he really needs to find his rhythm as well. Otherwise, I believe Bombers might get away with it easily, and we might have a big difference. If they can find the rhythm, I believe it might be a close game. But I will say Essendon will be too strong for them.
Yeah. I think West Coast should beat Port Adelaide. I think at home West Coast is going to be too strong. But North Melbourne, their performance against Adelaide, they were not very good at all. I mean, Adelaide were really, really bad. But North Melbourne, their performance, I mean, they missed so many chances in front of goal. Like even easy set pieces in front of goal they missed. Ben Brown, he had an amazing game, I thought. He's one of those few players at North Melbourne that has the X factor. There aren't a lot of those players in North Melbourne. And I think Essendon, with McDonald Tipper-Wooding having that amazing match, I think Essendon could beat North Melbourne. So I'm tipping them.
Yeah, and with West Coast, I believe they're going to be too strong for Port Adelaide. And they'll need to travel better this year, and they're losing at home. So, West Coast is going to be too strong for them.
Coming up, more of the Easter round of matches at the big one between the Demons and the Saints from the MCG on Saturday. So don't go anywhere, as we will be back after the break with more on the Multicultural AFL football show. So stick around. Welcome back of the second part of the show as we continue with our preview of round number 5. Saturday, the GWS Giants fresh from beating the Cats. Last week, host Fremantle in Canberra. Who is going to win this one?
I believe it's going to be GWS for me. Mere fact that they were too strong last week as well against Geelong. The way they played without their captain, who was out like the first 5 minutes or so, and then to come from behind against a team they haven't beaten at their home, I believe it was just exceptional. So I believe they're going to be too strong for Fremantle Dockers. Although the complacency factor, if that creeps into GWS, then we might have a different result. But I don't see that happening. I believe they are in with a reason this season. So they want to go right to the end. And I believe the way they're playing, it's going to be hard stopping them. So it's going to be an easy one for me. I believe GWS should win in this game.
Yeah, we did say last week was going to be the real test about GWS, about where they're going to go this season, and they did an amazing job. They passed the test very, very well. So at home, GWS should be too strong for Fremantle. Fremantle aren't a bad team, it's just that GWS at home are just going to be too good, so GWS.
The big one on the Easter Saturday, Melbourne face off against the informed Saints from the MCG's game. The style of play and tenacity of the Saints will make a desperate Melbourne to get back into the winner's circle. This is shaping up to be a blockbuster, Gabriel.
Yeah, well, who'd have thought it? You know, it's going to be a really good game. Both sides are similar in the sense that they've got young players who are starting to bloom and they're sort of working around in the same sort of growing period, so to speak. But St Kilda, they've been just so surprisingly good. I think Brendan Layden in particular, Brett Ratton have just worked wonders in the coaching staff. St Kilda have just been so different from what they were last year. They're playing tougher, they're much more hungrier, and I think that they could cause an upset and actually beat Melbourne at the MCG. But, you know, Melbourne are a decent team. I'm not saying they're bad, but St Kilda maybe could cause an upset.
Yeah, look, I believe Melbourne should prevail in this one because to me, they've found this spark against Sydney, to beat Sydney in Sydney, and I believe that will do a world of good to their confidence. And with all the players contributing in that game, so I believe they will be high in the confidence. And with the two talls in there, Max Gawn, he will concentrate on his job. Braden Pearce at the front, he can bring the ball down, he can take a good mark, and he can kick a couple as well. So with Nathan Jones, the kind of form he got back into, I believe it's going to be easy win for Melbourne. St Kilda have surprised a bit, but I would say this is going to be their real test.
Saturday night's game from Marvel Stadium will see Richmond tackle the Sydney Swans. 2 weeks ago, the Swans defeated Carlton at Marvel. Can they do it again this week?
Oh, I don't know. Although I would say, considering their record away from home, winning, they should do this time. Richmond, they played really well against Port Adelaide, and they've learned to play good in the absence of their good players. And I believe with Dustin Martin back this week, to add on to the already good team they have, and Tom Lynch at the front, I believe they've got a very strong chance against Sydney. But we've been saying that they're winning, traveling. They're winning more when they travel. So I believe it's going to be Sydney this time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Sydney are a Jekyll and Hyde team of the AFL. They do so well away, but at home they're just a completely different team. I think, look, Richmond are a fantastic side. They do have some players coming back in and all that. They're going to be very tough to beat at home, but because Sydney are just so strong away, I think Sydney could win this one as well.
So that brings us to the Easter Sunday, Javier, where your favorite doggies will challenge the Blues. How will the doggies win this?
Well, I believe they don't really have to do something extraordinary to win this game. We know that Carlton is on the rise. But I believe the kind of footy they played in the first two games when they beat Sydney Swans and Hawks, they just need to continue playing that footy. And as you mentioned before, few errors that unfortunately they've done, they just need to worry about that. And other than that, I believe they've found a rhythm. Their forward needs to pick up their ante a bit. They need to perform a bit better. Other than that, I believe Bulldogs are looking better than Carlton. With Carlton, they desperately need a win, and this is probably their best chance.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think this is Carlton's best chance to get a victory. I think that, there is a lot of pressure on Brendan Bolton at the moment, and I sort of get it, but at the same time, I think people need to sort of understand this is a marathon, not a sprint. And Carlton are starting a long way back. So a lot of the younger players, they are starting to improve, they are getting better, and they're not losing disgracefully. They are losing, but not badly. And I think this is the game where they could cause a surprise and win a game. So I'm actually going to tip for an upset. I'm going for Carlton.
Next up on Sunday are the Adelaide Crows at home to the Gold Coast Suns, who are looking dangerous as each week goes by. I can see another tight finish here for the Suns boys. What do you think?
I believe if it's a tight one, I put my money on Gold Coast to win this. I don't see Adelaide playing good under pressure. If they can get the advantage of home and they play good at the start and they get a good lead, then it might be a bit hard for Gold Coast to it would be hard for Gold Coast Suns to bounce back. And there were some signs where Addy Betts coming into the scoring line as well, getting some scores. So I believe there's a chance that they might be too strong for Gold Coast Suns. But if somehow they can manage to a tight game, I believe Gold Coast Suns have got a really good chance to beat Adelaide in Adelaide.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that Adelaide are not the same team that they were 2 years ago. I mean, something really wrong had happened at Adelaide. And even though they're playing at home, they're still vulnerable. And the Gold Coast Suns, they're just playing so well at the moment. And it seems like they're playing with this newfound confidence and belief in themselves. It's amazing what Stuart Dew has done at the club at such a short period of time. I mean, there was a lot of players leaving the club. There was a lot of speculation about whether the club would even survive. So having said that, I think the Gold Coast Suns could cause an upset, and I think they're going to beat Adelaide in Adelaide.
Easter Monday's fixture between the Hawks and the Cats from the MCG would have packed the stadium 4 years ago. Nowadays, the AFL would be happy if they got a crowd of 50,000. The Cats are on the rise and the Hawks are on the rapid slide. What are your thoughts, Gabriel?
Well, you're right. One's on the rise and one's on the slide. But despite that, when these two teams play, it is just like a little final. These two teams, they bring out the best in each other, and even though one is doing well and one is doing badly, it's still going to be a close game. And I still believe that on form, Geelong should be a little bit more superior to Hawthorn at the moment. Hawthorn could cause a surprise and win the game. They love playing against each other, but I think Geelong should be too strong for Hawthorn. I think they're going to bounce back after that loss against GWS at home. They're going to be very embarrassed. So for me, Geelong. Yeah,
same for me. I believe Geelong are a stronger team at the moment. And Hawks are facing too many injuries. I'm not sure what Ellis Clarkson gonna feed them for this game, unless he can come up with something good. And all the players who are filling those big shoes, which are left empty at the moment, I don't see Hawks winning this one. But if the new players or the Jagomira might come back and few others come back in a good form, there could be a game where Hawks win. But I believe Geelong are too strong.
Thank you for your comments, guys. It's certainly an interesting Easter round of footy coming up. But that's all we have time for this week. In the meantime, you've been with the Multicultural AFL football show all around Australia on the Community Radio Network, Community TV, and on the Aurora TV Foxtel. We are also online through the NEMBC's AFL Footy website. Stay tuned next week from on the Multicultural Footy News. I am Vanessa Gatica.
And I'm Harbeer Singh.
I'm Gabriel D'Angelo.
From all of us, have a happy Easter break, drive safe, and enjoy the footy. Thank you for watching.